author of 3 leadership books and has 5 different podcasts over the years, including Executive Presence, which offers a 5-minute of daily advice. He is a graduate of the University of Virginia and holds a law degree from Georgetown University. Joe is passionate about all things Harry Potter, kickboxing, and binge-watching movies and TV shows. He lives in Oakland with his wife Heather, and they have a high school-age son, Lucas. Please help me welcome Joe Kwan.
Thank you. All right, thanks, Josie. I actually recognize some of you. I've been doing this presentation for 3 years. I know some of you came out to KPMG as we gave a little tour, and I actually led one of the tours, so it's great to see a lot of you here today. So I want to start out by telling you about the time I thought I was going to die. All right, so I was a little bit younger than all of you. Maybe I was in middle school. And we had a pretty big backyard at my house then, and we had a garden. And I was coming back from the garden towards the house when I heard this. And I froze in my tracks. And all these thoughts went through my head. Oh my God, I haven't even driven yet. I'm going to die. Oh my God, I've never had a girlfriend yet. I'm going to die. And I was just so scared, and I was frozen there. And I couldn't move. What do you think was going on? Rattlesnake, right? I thought there was a rattlesnake. Now, for those of you who know geography or know about snakes, are there rattlesnakes in New Jersey? No, they don't exist. So it dawns on me, wait a second, I'm not in Arizona. I'm in New Jersey. There's no rattlesnakes, but that sounds to me like a rattlesnake. Can anyone guess what that sound was? A skunk? No. What's a mechanical that you would find in a New Jersey lawn or yard? Mower, getting closer. Sprinkler. You know the sprinklers that go, and then they go back. So I was afraid I was going to die, and your body goes into a certain mode when you're really scared. Has anyone here never been scared? Raise your hand if you've never been scared of anything your whole life. Right? So we all know that feeling of fear. Now the thing is, fear is an evolutionary thing. You're supposed to be afraid of things from time to time. If you weren't afraid, we probably wouldn't last very long on the planet. So there's some powers, there's some benefits that fear gives you. First benefit is it turns you almost into like a sensing superhero. Right? All of a sudden sounds seem stronger, right? You tunnel vision on stuff, your focus becomes stronger because your body, your brain thinks you're in danger, right? So you're not in that relaxed state where you can just think, oh, well, what do I want to do over the weekend or something? You're just focused on, oh my gosh, what do I need to think about now? The second thing is, what happens to your body when you're really afraid? Like you really think like you're going to get in a car accident or there's lightning and you think you might get struck by lightning. How does your body react? Right? Yeah, it tenses up. So you get that fight or flight, right? So your brain makes a quick calculation. You're not deciding any of this, right? Your body makes this calculation. I need to run away if I can get away. If I can't get away and fighting would help, I'm going to fight to try to stay alive, right? Let's say like a bear comes up to you and you're going to decide what to do. Or if your body realizes I can't get away and I can't fight, what does your body do? It freezes and shuts down, and some animals actually play dead, right? Because that's actually the way you're most likely to survive. So fear is not necessarily a bad thing. It has benefits, and there's reasons why our body goes into fear. Now, what are some of the drawbacks of being afraid, especially in the context where it's not a rattlesnake, it's not a bear, it's not lightning or thunder that could kill you, but it's fear of public speaking, right? Let's say you have an opportunity to do something and it's going to require you to speak in front of a crowd for 10, 15 seconds, but you are deathly afraid of public speaking, right? You may actually forego the opportunity to do that. everything else about it is wonderful. You'll get to meet the right people. You'll get to do something you always wanted to do. But because you're so afraid of being up on a stage, you say, oh, no, I'm not going to do it. Or maybe you decide to do it, but you get up on a stage and what happens? You freeze, right? And then you're like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done this, right? So fear does have its drawbacks. And I'm here to tell you the fear that other people tell you what you can't do isn't as strong as the fear you're going to put on yourself, right? Some people may tell you, no, you can't do this. No, you shouldn't do this. It's too hard. It's too difficult. It's not something that you should do. But you can overcome that. What it's harder to overcome is your own fear, right? When you decide, I'm so scared. I'm not sure I'm going to succeed, so I'm not going to do it, right? So if you don't try, you're never going to know if you made it or not. And also, you're never going to make it because you weren't actually even there, right? So we're going to talk today real practical about things you can do to overcome fear. And we're going to go through a couple of techniques and one sort of Jedi mind trick into how to deal with difficult people. Who's ever had to deal with sort of a difficult person, right? And then who's ever had the feeling that, maybe I don't want to talk to the person or address it because I don't know how they're going to react, right? This is going to go horribly, horribly wrong, right? That's a real fear, right? And that could happen to you when you go to school, could happen to you after high school, whether it's college or any other sort of work you end up doing. And then when you go to work, full time, that's going to happen with your bosses and people that you work with, clients, others. You may make decisions that aren't in your best interest because you're too scared and you'd rather just avoid it. So what I want to talk to you about today is some approaches and some techniques so you will not let fear guide your decision, right? You will still feel the fear, but you'll be able to approach it and overcome it. How does that sound? Good?
Good. Sounds good.
All right. So who here is afraid of public speaking? Anyone? Yeah, there's some people. All right. So I'm going to tell you a secret about public speaking. All right? Those of you who are afraid of public speaking, or even those of you who aren't, imagine what are the thoughts that go through your head when someone asks you to public speak, and what are the fears that go through your head? Just think about that for a second. What are the messages in your head, the sentences? All right, what's something you might tell yourself? What's something you might tell yourself in your head?
It might be harder to improvise.
Harder to improvise? Yeah. What else? What's a thing you might tell yourself when you're afraid? Yeah. I'm going to fail. Good one. What else? Behind you. There was someone. What's that?
Be natural, okay.
Yeah, be natural. Well, the fear thing, that's a good one to do it, but what's the thing that you're afraid of?
Am I going to embarrass myself?
Oh, beautiful. Am I going to embarrass myself? What else? What else? You.
I'd probably tell myself to calm down, tough stuff.
Okay, but that's good, but what are the things that when you're afraid? Will people laugh at me? I was afraid when I came here once, everyone was asleep. They were like, half of you were asleep. And I'm like, oh my God, will I fail because people won't actually wake up? I actually had that fear here. Someone over here was raising your hand? Yep. Try not to stutter. Yeah, I'm going to stutter, and then you're going to feel embarrassed, right? Right? One more. What else? Over here on this side. What's a fear you might tell yourself? Gentleman in the white shirt. What's a fear you might tell yourself? The guy in front. Yeah, you? You don't know? Next to you. All right. We're going to keep going down until someone knows. Next to you. Yep. What's the fear you might tell yourself? What's that? Sorry? You feel like you covered all of them. All right, I know we got one more. What do we think? What's the fear? The young lady in front of me here. What are you afraid of? What's bad going to happen? We got one here. Oh yeah, it's going to hurt your reputation, right? If you mess up, people are going to start talking bad about you. Now, what's similar about all these fears? Who are they focused on? Who's the subject of all these fears? Yourself. I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to stutter. I'm going to fail. I'm going to look bad. So notice your fear is almost that something bad is going to happen to you when you stand up on stage and you talk. But here's the secret. When you go to do public speaking, it's not about you. Why are you there? You're there for everyone else. I'm not here for myself. I'm here for all of you. Right? So one secret or trick that works 90% of the time, I'll tell you, is those messages are going to be going through your head. That's what's making you scared. Instead of thinking about that, what's going to happen to me, think about what the audience needs. Right? What do they need? Why was I invited to talk to this audience? Why did my boss, family member, right, professor, teacher ask me to do this? What does the audience need? And what happens when you're thinking about someone else and your focus is there? Right? What happens when you're thinking about someone else? Are you thinking about yourself at the same time? No, you're thinking about them. So your focus is on them. So those thoughts of, I'm going to fail, I'm going to be embarrassed, naturally start to shrink down, and you focus on the job at hand, which is, how do I give the audience what I'm here to give them, what they need, right? Because if someone asks you to do something, remember, it's because they think you can do it, right? They're not asking you so you can go up and fail. They're asking you because they think you'd be a really good person to do it. So when you believe that in yourself and you focus on what does the audience need, it shrinks that fear and enables you to get started and go there. Now, I said 90% of the time, right? 10% of the time, that doesn't work, or you can't do that. Do you know why? Because you're already, right? What happens when you're like so scared of something? Can you just stop and think? No, your body is like taken over, right? So there's something I'm going to teach you that can help you with that. Some of you may have already practiced this in sports, or if you do any sort of performance-based thing with music. There's two systems we have, right? One system is for being in action, right? It's for responding. It's for being very active. The other system is for relaxing, enjoying, maybe daydreaming, thinking about things. Now, did you know your breath can actually control which system you're in? Now, normally you go into this naturally. Okay, you're out in the world, something happens, you're like, all right, go time, and you're ready to go, and then everything's done, and your brain is like, oh, we can just relax, and your body just relaxes. That happens naturally. But you can actually force your body or trick your body into going into either of those modes if you want. So the trick is two things. How long are you breathing in? And how long are you breathing out? What are the two things? This side of the room, how long are you breathing? And how long are you breathing? Out. Okay, so we're going to do a little experiment. So I'm going to count, and I want you to breathe in for 4 seconds, and then we're going to breathe out for 1. So when I count, when I say go, everyone's going to breathe in. 3, 4. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. All right, how do you feel? How does your energy feel? You feel energized, right? You feel ready to take action, right? That's the go system. It's called the sympathetic nervous system, right? So you're ready to go. So how do you think we get our body into the more relaxed phase? We would breathe in longer and breathe out shorter. So we're going to try that. So imagine you're in a really panic state. You're freaking out. Something's really difficult. When I count, we're going to breathe in 2, and we're going to breathe out 4. Ready? Breathe in 1, 2. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in 2. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't see you breathing. Breathe in, 2. Breathe out. One more. Breathe in, 2. Breathe out. How do you feel? Kind of relaxed, right? All right, let's go back to sleep. Right? So you switched your body, right, from the panic state into a more relaxed, easygoing. You can think about things. Your brain can be fully engaged. So sometimes what happens is you need to do the breathing first before you can do the thinking. Right? Your body needs to be relaxed before you can engage your brain to do the more difficult type of thinking. So that is a thing you can use for any sort of performance. Right? You're about to enter a competition. You're about to do something that makes you nervous. You're about to enter a conversation about grades, or you're having a difficult relationship with a friend or something like that. You can do that to really put yourself in the best state. Because what happens if you enter a conversation and you're not in a good state of being? You're panicked, you're nervous. So how does that go? Better or worse?
Worse.
Worse. Why?
Because you're not thinking straight.
Yeah, because you're not thinking straight. Right? Someone says something and you just go, right? You seize up, right? So to have your best performance, and the title of this presentation is What Champions Do Differently, right? It's not necessarily that they practice harder or practice better. It's not necessarily that their skills are always the best. They know how to enter the performance, whatever that is, right? Whether it's a test, whether it's a physical thing, whether it's a debate, with the best state. So they can do the best they can do. Now, when you're doing the best you can do, does that mean you're going to win? No. No. But you're going to do better than if you entered it doing your worst, right? So when you do it your best, you get to see where you're at against other people, and you get to see how well you could do, and sometimes you win. And if you lose, why did you lose, right? You lost maybe because you realized, I'm missing some skill, or I'm not good at something. You didn't lose because you weren't performing to your full potential, right? So that's something that champions do differently. They enter each competition or state or conversation able to give it their best. So then whether they make it or not, they can learn from it and understand what's going on. Does that make sense to everyone? Yes. Okay. So there is also something about fear when it comes to interpersonal conversations and relationships. And it may seem difficult in high school, but I'll tell you, corporate is just like high school, just with salaries, right? It's the same shenanigans. It's the same people not liking each other. It's the same people, power plays, Game of Thrones, forming cliques. It's the same exact thing, right? Except instead of a school, you're in a company. It's no different. So the skills I'm going to teach you today, you can apply them right now, and you're going to be able to apply them for the rest of your life. And it's the same with your families and friends and communities you're in. You're going to have the same, whether it's a religious community, whether it's a club or hobby, you're going to have the same challenges because we're all people, right? And whenever a lot of people get together, you're going to have these interpersonal challenges. So we were talking first, we started off this meeting about fear of like public speaking or a competition or some sort of event. But some of our most difficult challenges have nothing to do with that. It's just like, you know what? We weren't seeing eye to eye the other day, and we couldn't work together on the project, and now I don't know what to say. What's your name? What's your name?
My name?
Yeah.
Belgian.
Belgian. I don't know what to say to Belgian because maybe I think he's sensitive, or he's going to overreact, or he's just going to shut down, and now he's not going to want to work on the project with me anymore. Right? Could that happen?
Yeah.
It could happen, right? What if I'm saying something in a way that's really offensive or hurts your feelings? Belgian might just be like, I'm out, right? And he's not going to help anymore, and now it's going to be a real problem for me because I can't complete the project on my own. So this sort of thing happens, and I'll tell you the truth. A lot of people, even adults, their response is to try to avoid the situation or make it go away. They pray that that person will be fired. They pray that they can be transferred to another team, right? But that is not how people who succeed, and I use the word champion, but just think of it as success, right? It doesn't have to be like a sports thing, right? But people who do the best and really succeed, they're not the ones who run away from challenges, right? They're not the ones who say, oh gosh, I'm going to see if the teacher can switch me so I don't have to work with this person or that person, right? That's not sort of a winning sort of mentality. They actually figure out how to succeed with what they have, right? All right. So let me tell you a secret about when you're afraid of a conversation with someone, okay? So what's the scary thing about having a tough conversation with someone, whether it's a parent, a teacher, a friend? What's scary about that? What could scare you?
The environment.
The environment? Yeah, tell me more. What about the environment?
Like, if you're in a conversation with like a parent or like with someone, right, like a guidance counselor,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably like an awkward environment. And
Yeah.
you probably won't, like, you won't touch sensitive topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The environment, definitely. What else? What if they don't understand you? Yeah, really good one. You got up the courage to say what you needed to say, and they totally misunderstood you, right? What else? What are some other fears? Guy stretching, I'll pretend that's your hand up. What are some other fears? Yeah, absolutely. Tell us more that they'll think bad about you.
Let's say like you say something wrong in like the wrong way and take it like in a different way. I don't know.
Yeah, and now you're the bad guy, right? It's like you went in, you had good intentions, they misunderstood something, and now you're the bad guy, all right? So the secret I'll tell you about your fear dealing with interpersonal things is that's not what you're really afraid of, okay? Those thoughts you have running in your head actually are not the main fear. Can anyone guess what the main fear is? What are you really afraid of when you have to have a difficult conversation? What are you really afraid of? So what you're really afraid of, and this is going to sound bananas, but think about it for a second. What you're really afraid of is, will you be able to handle their response? Right? There's a great answer from our stretching friend back there, right? Will you be able to handle that now they think you're the bad guy? Right? Will you be able to handle that they misunderstood you? Will you be able to handle you're so disappointed that things are not going the right way? So your fear is actually not the result, it's whether you can handle the result. Because if you can handle the result, do we still have a problem? With fear? No, you got this, all right? Oh, you responded in a way that isn't optimal or isn't helpful. All right, let me figure out what we're going to do next. I'm going to take that as feedback versus, oh my God, what I thought was going to happen, it has happened, and now I'm cooked. Right? I'm done. I give up. Right? It's over. It's over. It's over. Right? That's what we're actually afraid of. Right? We're not afraid of the reaction. We're afraid of, can I handle the reaction? Does this person really still care about me? Right? Is this person still on my side? Is this person still going to provide the help and resources that I need from this person to succeed? So next time you're kind of afraid of entering into a conversation, think about that a little bit. What is the reason you're afraid that you can't handle that reaction, right? And if you can figure that out, if you can actually master that, you will never be afraid again of entering into any of these difficult conversations because you know whatever comes back, you can handle it. Again, does it mean you're going to have a great conversation and get what you want? No, right? It doesn't mean success, but you're engaging and you're giving yourself the best chance to succeed. One, because you're actually having the conversation, right, instead of running away or hiding. And two, when you have the conversation, you're entering it with a very confident, relaxed mindset. right? You ever have someone come up to you and they just make you feel really nervous, because they're like, they're almost like they have too much energy, or they're too aggressive and too strong, and you're just like, oh, okay. Or the opposite, they make you feel like a little scared because they're almost too passive, right? They're too quiet. They're too, maybe this isn't a good idea, but I just want to, like they're already subtracting before you've even had a chance to sort of decide what's going on. Versus someone who enters a conversation and they're like relaxed, they're confident, hey, let's talk about this, right? Let's have a conversation. Just want to share my perspective, and I want to hear what you want to say, right? Which one would you rather be talking to? Yeah, the person who's more relaxed, the person who's more confident, not the really overly, right, energetic person, and not the one who has the super low energy or makes you feel like, oh my gosh, this person doesn't even believe what they're saying. I can't have any confidence in them at all. All right. So I'm going to teach you, I promised you before, a Jedi mind trick, right, that you can use to really deal with other people. Now, all of you in this room, right, I could show you a picture or a 30-second clip of something, and guess what? You would all receive that slightly differently. All right? I'm not saying you all wouldn't laugh. I'm not saying you all wouldn't enjoy it or dislike it. But you're all going to process that slightly differently. Why is that? How come no two people ever see anything exactly alike? Why is that?
Brain different.
Brain difference? Yeah. Tell me more about that. Your brain is different. What about your brain is different?
Wired in different ways.
Yeah.
Brought up in different ways.
Absolutely.
Every experience makes new connections.
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Yeah, absolutely. So let's say you're 5, right? And you're driving along and a deer hits your car. And it's like super scary. The hoof is like kicking and your parents are freaking out and there's blood all over the place. It's the deer's blood, not your family's blood. And you just have this really traumatic experience, right? So that's case A. But imagine the driver was looking for something on the map and they slowed down, and so the deer went across, and you never hit the deer, right? Everything else in your life has been the same, except in one universe, right? They talk about the multiverse or the metaverses. In one universe, you had a traumatic encounter with a deer, and in the other universe, you didn't. Do you think that's going to affect how you turn out as a human being?
Yes.
Yeah? Do you think it's going to affect how much you like deer?
Yes.
Or driving?
Yes.
Or the person who was driving?
Yes.
Yeah. So now think about this. Y'all are different people. Y'all were born on different days, had different experiences, right? Different, parents, different friends, different paths, right? You're gonna be different. It's impossible for you to be exactly the same, which is why one of the biggest traps we can think of is, well, why wouldn't they like it? Why wouldn't they agree with me? It's so obvious to you. But to someone else who's had even a slightly different experience, and we've had huge differences, right, growing up, right? And I'd say the difference between Belgin and what's your name? Wayne, is just as big as the difference between myself and Wayne, right? It doesn't matter just the age, doesn't matter gender, doesn't matter your skin color, ethnicity, socioeconomic background. You're still going to have huge differences with people, right? You'll have more similarities with some people, but at its base, you're going to have huge differences from the way you think about people, even your twin, even if you had a twin, right? Do twins experience exactly the same thing at exactly the same moment from exactly the same perspective? No, they're still going to be slightly different, even though their brains are going to be very similar because genetically, right, DNA-wise, they're going to be the same, but their experience is going to wire things differently. So because of that, don't be surprised when people don't respond to things the same way you do, or don't like the same way things that you do, or like the idea you have, which you think is genius. This is the perfect idea for the perfect moment, and it could be. But don't be surprised when someone's like, no, that's a bad idea. I don't like that strategy, right? So the first thing to understand about this Jedi mind trick is everyone has different kind of thoughts about something, and that's the starting point. That's normal, right? If you want a world where everyone thinks exactly alike, it'd be a horrible world, and it's not going to happen anyway, right? So we're starting from the baseline that we're all going to think about the way to do things differently. But there is something that we all share as human beings, right? We don't share thought patterns or strategies. What do we share as humans, as the human race? Well, what do we all share? Think about that for a second. So at a higher level than our strategies is our values, right? Maybe there's a few people in any room who think differently, but generally, I think most people in a room value things like respect, right? They value friendship. Who here doesn't value friendship? Right? See, there's always one. Who here doesn't value love, being loved and cared for? Right? So at a level above the way people think and their strategies, we all share certain values. And that's really powerful. Because if you can figure out what that shared value is and think about what you're pitching or trying to share in terms of the shared value, you'll be able to get a lot further with people, right? So respect is a good one, right? You say, well, I think you value respect and I value respect, and let's talk about how we can accomplish this in a respectful way. Versus, Belgin, you are not doing your job. You are not doing what you're supposed to do, right? You should be here at this time. You should be handing things in time. You're making us do a horrible job on this project. It's your fault. How do you think that conversation with Belgin's going to go? Do you think he's going to be like, oh my God, you're totally correct. I will change my ways. Right? No, right? There could be various reasons why he thinks what he's doing is what he needs to be doing. Right? And I will not understand them because I'm not him. I'm a totally different human being. Right? But I think what we can agree on is respect. We could agree on excellence, right? We could say, wait, this is important for us, right? We're doing this project and we want to do well, right? How do we do well, right? This isn't working. Were you saying something?
No, I said bless you today.
Oh, bless you. Yeah, very polite. That's good. So when you're having a difficult conversation with someone and you're saying, well, I think this is what we should do, and you're just not getting the optimal response, right? One thing you can always do is that an announcement? So you can lean on values, right? So what are some shared values? What are some values that generally people have? 95% of people think are valuable. What do you think? What are some shared values?
Shared values,
Yeah.
like how people think, like towards another.
Sorry?
How people are like thinking towards one another, like their emotional connection.
So emotional connection. Yeah, that's a great one. Does your school have values? Yeah. What are some of your school's values? Tell me. Sorry, what is it? Yeah, treat people like that's respect, right? Treat people the way you want to treat them. What other values? Any other values? Quality? Yeah. Excellence, quality, right? That's a value, right? Integrity, really good one. Integrity, right? Do what you say you're going to do. Be where you're supposed to be. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, right? Just do what you kind of know is the right thing to do. Integrity, right? It's a big one, right? No one really wants to deal on a repetitive basis with someone who has no integrity, right? They say, oh, trust me, it's going to be fine. And then it's not fine. Oh, you need a ride to the airport? I'll pick you up at 7:30. 7:35, 7:40, 7:50. They're not there. You missed your flight. You lost a whole bunch of money on the ticket, right? No one wants to deal with someone who has no integrity. So that's another value you can talk about, right? So the key is, what's the value that's most important to that person in this moment that you're about to have this conversation, and sort of start from there as opposed to, all right, here's what I think we should do, here's what they think you should do, and then what ends up happening? MMA match, right? You just end up fighting, and who wins the match? No one. But if there is a winner, it's the stronger person, right? But in a fight, even the stronger person ends up pretty banged up usually, right? So really, your original answer was right, no one. There's no real winners, right? Because even if you win, you kind of lose. You've damaged the relationship with the person, you're more tired because you've been fighting, and you have a problem. All right. So who here has ever had a problem with people interrupting them? Does that ever happen? You get interrupted? Yeah? It can be kind of difficult when someone's always interrupting you, right? So, like that, right? So the difficult thing, and I'm going to link the fear and the interruption together, you can be kind of afraid of dealing with that situation, right? Because all the things you were saying before might happen. That person might think that you're the bad guy. No, you're interrupting me, right? Or that person, may just check out of the situation, or they may think that, you're not a professional, you're not a good person, right? All those things can happen. So even if you address the fear, you need skills. You need to be able to do something well, right, in order to deal with it. So it's not enough that you're just courageous. You actually have to know what you're doing and have some skills. All right. So we're going to practice a way you can deal with someone who's interrupting you. Okay? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to say their name. All right? So who would like to volunteer their name for this situation? All right. Come on up here. Come on up here. All right. Let's go. Let's give her a round of applause. Yeah. All right. What's your name?
Nyla, nice to meet you.
What?
Nyla.
Nyla.
Yes.
Nyla. Okay, so we have Nyla. So we're going to do a little interruption role play here.
Okay.
Okay? So the first thing I want you to do is you're going to start talking about, let's say, your favorite book or movie or something, right? PG. And then I'm going to interrupt you.
Okay.
And when I say stop, we're just going to stop. So you just talk, and I'm going to interrupt you. You don't have to do anything else. Okay.
Just keep on talking?
Yeah, just go ahead.
All right, so my favorite food is like burgers, and then I like...
Oh my God, burgers? No. Burgers are not good. No. We got to go have chicken sandwiches, Nyla.
But why?
What? No, Nyla, you got to understand, chicken sandwiches are the real deal.
Are you sure?
Nyla, listen, Nyla, chicken sandwiches, not... Okay, how's this conversation going for Nyla? I'm being a real jerk. Right? How does that feel for you?
Doesn't feel good. It's not a good feeling.
Doesn't feel good. All right.
No.
So we're going to do this in layers. So what I want you to do is, my name is Joe.
Okay.
So the first thing you do is when I interrupt, I want you to say my name to stop me. Say Joe. And if I don't stop, say it again, Joe. And if I don't say it again, say Joe.
Okay.
All right? So go ahead.
Well, I don't understand why you like chicken sandwiches, because like they're not the best.
I really
Joe.
don't. Nyla, I really don't. You see what that does? It puts the brakes. Why? Because it's my name. We're trained to respond to our name. We can't help it. Now, if I'm really aggressive, I may keep on going and still try to steamroll her. So there's a second technique I want to teach Nyla and you, very powerful. I want you to put your hand up, not in my face, but just put your hand up like stop. Like you say stop.
So don't say stop, just...
Yeah, say my name while putting your hand up.
Okay.
So it's more authoritative. We can face each other.
Okay.
Don't put your hand in the person's face, but just kind of here, like stop, like you're a traffic cop, right? When the cops come, you say stop. All right, so go ahead.
But also fries are pretty good too. So, dip them in some barbecue sauce.
Nyla, I don't know why you don't. Powerful, right? How powerful is that?
Feels very
That's
nice.
powerful. How do you feel?
Very assertive.
Yeah, very assertive,
Very assertive.
right? So those are some techniques. You say the person's name, right? You put your hand up, but I'm gonna give you a third technique. Because sometimes you'll meet people who are just so out of control, like a train running down the tracks, that's not even gonna stop them. And the third one has to do with, remember when I talked about we all think differently, but there's something we share. What is it that we share? Values, very good, values, right? So I'm gonna teach you and Nyla how to appeal to my values in a way that I gotta just stop. Because if I don't stop, I'm showing I don't share that value, right? So the value we're gonna use, Nyla, is respect, okay? But we're gonna be a little bit fancy about it. We're not gonna say, I know you value respect. We're gonna say, repeat after me.
Okay.
I know
I know
you're not a rude person,
you're not a rude person,
so you'll let me finish,
so you let me finish.
all right? So Joe, 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 I'm keep on going, and then you're gonna say, last one, Joe, I know you're not a rude person, so you'll let me finish. All right, so go ahead.
And then also, I'm not really a big fan of honey mustard, so yeah, it's like the problem.
Nyla, you know the last
Joe.
time we went out
Joe,
and
I
you
know
made
you're
this,
not a rude person, but can you let me finish?
but you'll let me finish.
But you'll let me
Or
finish.
so you'll let me finish.
So you let me finish.
Yeah, okay, let's try it again. Let's try it again.
all right.
I know you're not a rude person, so you'll let me. The language is
So
important.
you let me
So you'll let me finish.
So you let me finish, okay.
Yeah, because but reverses it.
Yeah,
I
it's
know you're not a rude person, but. You want to say, I know you're not
like
a
a script.
So, okay? Okay, go ahead. Chicken. Hamburgers.
Hamburgers. So, like, what's your favorite type of chicken? Like,
Nyla, I don't know.
Joe.
I don't know why
Joe.
you don't. Nyla, come
Joe,
on. I need to.
Joe, I know you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. That's why we practice. That's why we practice. That's why we practice.
Sorry.
Let's go to the last part.
All right.
All right?
All right.
Last part.
All right.
This is
Joe,
why,
I know you're not a rude person, but so you let me finish.
right?
That was really bad.
So if I keep going, what am I saying about myself? I'm a rude person, right? So everyone give a round of applause for Nyla.
Thank you. Nice meeting you. Thank you.
All right? So notice, don't bust this out the first time without practicing, right? Practice this with your friends, practice this with your mentors. Try this because you're gonna meet people who don't let you get a word in edgewise. And that's gonna be bad for you because your ideas won't be heard. Your voice won't be heard. Your presence will be disparaged because the most aggressive people, right, generally tend to get their way because most of us, I include myself, are fearful of interrupting. So we just let that person run the show, right? But if you have that confidence, right? If you have that confidence, if you're relaxed, and if you have some skills, like we just taught Nyla and all of you, then you can do it. So how many of you think you could actually try this at some point in the future, right? Yeah. So practice it, play around with it. So I'm going to stop right now. I know there's supposed to be some time for questions. I think I have 5 minutes before our next presenter, Mr. John Budish. So any questions about how to deal with fear, public speaking, confidence, executive presence, any of those things? Can you speak a little louder? I have hard. When I was growing up, did I speak a lot? Like, is this natural, what I'm doing now? I would say I spoke probably more than I should when I was a kid. But public speaking did not come naturally to me. I actually had to train in it. And I actually took a class where someone actually taught me some of the basics. And then from there, I built. So imagine it's like a new sport or a new game. And you try to do it and no one tells you the rules. How good would you be at that game? Not good, right? So for any sort of skill, you kind of want to learn the basics and then build on that, and then you build your own style. I'm going to be different than any other speaker you're going to meet because I'm me, right? Not better, not worse, just different. But you learn your own skills. Great question. Any other questions? What would you do if your audience doesn't engage with you? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, so you prepare to do different things, right? So the first time I was here, I'm standing here, Josie's giving the introduction, and I swear half of you were asleep. And I was like so scared. I was like, this is gonna be a horrible, horrible presentation. I hadn't presented to high school kids like ever before. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I knew if I gave my corporate intro, more of you would fall asleep. So was anyone there? Do you remember what I did? I ran like this into the crowd. And people were like, what was going on? Why would you run? And then people actually stood up and started clapping, right? Because they needed to be woken up, right? They needed some excitement. So to answer your question, don't do that when people won't engage. But there are things you can do. There's asking questions. You can pull someone out from the audience. You can say something a little bit surprising, right? Here's the worst intro you can ever give, right? I'll just tell you from corporate. Hi, my name is Joe. I've been with KPMG for 18 years. I work in risk management. Went to University of Virginia. I'm a lawyer by training, blah, 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 blah. You know what? No one's listening to you. Because one, it has no meaning to them, and they've heard that a whole bunch of times. Versus today, I'm going to teach you how to get what you always wanted from your boss. Oh, you think people are paying attention now? Right? And then you can say, oh, by the way, my name is Joe, blah, blah. Now all of a sudden people are awake and they're paying attention and engaging. So surprise is a really good way to engage people. If every other speaker is doing one thing, you do something slightly different, they're like, wait a second, this is different, right? So surprise is a really good way to engage people. And questions, getting them engaged, pulling people out of the audience, like we did with Nyla. She's very brave, great volunteer. What else? I think I have time for one or two more questions.
What's your biggest fear?
What's my biggest fear? My biggest fear, I would just say, is losing my family. You know, I have a wonderful son, Lucas, wonderful wife, Heather. They mean everything to me, and if for some reason I lost them, whether it was through some fault of my own or an accident or something, that'd be pretty scary. Great question. What's your biggest fear?
Well, one of my fears is my bench passing my squat.
Is what?
My bench passing my squat.
Your bench passing your squat. Okay, that's a real fear. All right, last question. Last question. One more question. Last question. Fear, public speaking, Jedi mind tricks. Any last questions? Surely there's something you need to know.
Will you be coming back here again in the future?
Will I be coming back here in the future? I like that question, very complimentary. I hope so. As long as I work for KPMG and they keep inviting me back, I would love to come back. So everyone give yourselves a round of applause. You've been a great audience. And I'll stick around after John's talk and would love to meet you afterwards. Thank you.